Okay, we are live.
All right.
Um, hey guys, it's Bobby Legs, and welcome to a Friday night live stream here. Um, and I have with us Clayton from Watchdog Podcast. We're going to go over Clayton's State of the Union, State of the Collection, watch collection, or State of the Union if he wants to go
Yeah.
into politics.
State
Why
of the
not?
Watch Union.
Right, right. Um, Anyway, Clayton, how are you, man? Thanks
I'm
for coming
doing.
on.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm doing well. This is late for me with all the this humidity, running all dogs all day and this stuff. I had some coffee earlier on to prepare, and I'm feeling good. So, how about you, man?
I'm doing great.
Get my
You
phone
know,
out.
no problem. The weather wasn't kind of great today. It was like raining and whatnot. I think we're probably still feeling the remnants of,
Yeah.
that hurricane that came up. I know
Did you have
Tuesday.
damage?
Well, um, no, but I have a lot of trees on the property, and a couple of them further back up the hill. There was a couple of trees that snapped. And then there's a couple of trees close to the house that we've been last like year or two cutting down trees around the house. So we're just afraid that something's going to
Yep.
drop on us.
Yep.
And so the storm really accentuated a couple of trees that we were like, okay, we were going to wait for the fall, but
Yeah.
we who knows? We may get another storm coming up soon. Hey, Tennessee Mike,
Hey,
how you doing,
Mike.
man? We also have Craig on board. Hey, Craig.
We lost power in that storm for like 24 hours. And
Oh,
my neighbor's tree, like I watched it fall down in our road. Luckily, no
yeah,
cars were going by. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was real quick like that, but did some
yeah,
damage. Yep,
yeah.
absolutely.
Look, Peter, yeah, you just got to. We on Tuesday, the day of the storm, we had a couple of times when we had the power out. Maybe the first time was for 5 minutes, and the second time was for like a half an hour. But yesterday, and today, the power company's been doing some work, and today we had no power for like 2 hours.
Okay.
So I was dealing with that. Hey, Desmond. All right, so let's get started. We got like a few people watching, and
Awesome.
so let's start off with first. Let's check our wrists. What do you got, Clayton? What do you got on
Well,
wrist tonight?
I was almost going to wear the Black Bay 58, but I'm doing this August challenge. So I'm rotating. I'm cheating a little bit. I'm wearing a work watch because if I just wore one watch all day, it would be, and I love G-Shocks, but I wouldn't get a chance to wear like all of my watches for this
Right.
August challenge of only wearing one watch per day. So I'm doing a work watch and an evening watch. So I decided to go with the girdle today. It's the
Very
ultimate
nice.
summer watch. We're still having these dog days of summer where it's warm and and I have a nice summer tan going, rocking the gold and black, which is one of my favorite colorways. So yeah, girdle all the way, baby, on a strap code Jubilee. So
Awesome, awesome. And I'm wearing, I had to bring back into the rotation because I got the bracelet in today, the Black Bay 58, the Blue Bay.
oh yeah,
I love this watch. You as a fellow owner of the Black Bay original,
a newbie.
um, yeah,
Yeah.
and it sounds like in our discussion before we started live that you're really having fun with it, and that's awesome. That makes me happy.
The bezel is just like I
I
heard
know.
you talk about it and other
Yeah,
people talk about it, but until you experience it for yourself, it's just the smoothest bezel action. I wish there was a little more like purchase area to turn it.
hmm
That's
hmm
maybe one of the only, but I mean, you don't
yeah,
really need it. I guess it turns so buttery smooth. And I actually
yeah.
swam with it like the second day I owned it, which was pretty awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. That's what it's meant to
Yeah,
do, right?
exactly. Yeah.
That's what they're meant for. So Clayton, let's kick off here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, not necessarily watch related, and just let some of the guys here know just a couple things about you.
Okay, so my name is Clayton. I live in Rhode Island. I'm originally from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and I'll get into that with my first two watches that I'll highlight.
Yeah.
They kind of have a nostalgic home connection. I'm an avid runner. I own a dog running business here in Rhode Island, Canine Cardio Company. I started that 8 years ago, September 1st. It'll be 8 years. I work with 20 to 30 dogs every day, just about, and that's an awesome job. Beats working with people hands down.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I'm married, no kids, just dogs. Been living in Rhode Island now for about 14 years. My wife is from Jersey, your neck of the woods. She's from
Okay.
Jackson, New Jersey.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's
she's a trans.
by Great Adventure, right?
Yep,
That's it.
yep, absolutely. By Tom's River. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
And so she's a transplant as well. She's an operating room nurse. We met at a party 11 years ago, and yeah, we've been together ever since. We got married 9 years ago, and yeah, so we're just living the dream here in Rhode
Awesome.
Island. And
Awesome.
I love I do like on leash dog running, and I also rent like a big farm, like 3 or 4 acres, like a horse farm, like you have in New
Hmm.
Jersey.
Yeah.
And yeah, I my brother-in-law lives in Princeton, and all
Okay.
the way out to his place. I mean, there's a number of horse farms, so
Yeah.
it's
Down in
like
that
that
area.
here. Yeah, so that's what I rent, and just bring 16 to 20 dogs out there every day,
That's
and
awesome.
run around like crazy.
That's
So
also, and you get fit. You stay fit at the same time, right?
yeah,
You get
I
that.
put on a COVID like 10
Sure.
maybe,
Sure.
but
Sure.
maybe a little more day drinking than
It's like,
well, not
yeah.
well, I was home a little bit more like April and May. I'm not day drinking now, but yeah, maybe that stuck with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the freshman 15, the COVID
Yeah,
10,
the
right? Yeah.
COVID-19. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. The
haven't
COVID
I haven't
19.
put on 19 yet, thank God.
Right. Well, we're still in it, so you never know, right?
Yeah, there's still
Uh,
time.
So I'm always fascinated about how people get into watches, and when, like if they're little kids, if a family member bought them a watch and it sparked something, or maybe none of the above, maybe it's something, you know, um, that they just organically got into. How did you get into watches, and then how did you get into collecting?
So I've been a marathon runner for I think my first one was 16 years ago. So Garmin watches were
Mm-hmm.
something you get into really early. So like I
Mm-hmm.
said, the podcast like Forerunner, and I messed around with various types of fitness bands. Motorola made like a really Stone Age version of a smartwatch back in the early
Yeah.
2010s that I tried and liked, but always came back to Garmin. Just I was training for a 3 hour marathon, so really paying attention to pacing and distance and all that was important. So nobody does it better even still today. I don't think Apple does it better. Fitbit is way behind. Garmin does it the best. So I got into several Garmins, and then I got into the Phoenix 5X originally, which is I actually have it. Here. It's a beast. This is
Yo.
the plus.
Yeah.
So this thing has actual maps on it. So if you're hiking in unfamiliar areas, it has a map on it, and you can track back your route if you don't know exactly how to get back to your car or campsite. Anyway, so as you can see, it's huge and heavy. And I just get like wrist fatigue. It's a smartwatch, so you get all the notifications. It's
Yeah.
like Dane or somebody might say smartwatches don't have a soul. Uh,
Right.
but so I started to get that fatigue of like, all right, I'm getting every notification. So I'm from Michigan. Uh, if you're from like near Detroit, I know like Craig, who's in here, could can attest. He was on the podcast last week. Shinola is a big part of the fabric down there. I have a cousin who lives in a suburb of Metro Detroit, and he had always told me about Shinola watches. I'm a watch novice, like Timex, Timex, Casio. Those were my like real watches, quote unquote, up until this point. Really, never really had anything beyond that, and so he and his wife were telling me about Shinola watches. And when I decided I wanted a real watch, I'm, late 30s, never really had a hobby. So I was like, I think I can buy myself a nice watch. The thought of spending that much money on a watch, I did not know. They had just told me about Shinola, and I love that it was a part of, employed people down in that area, which, as we all know, Detroit, has fallen on economic hard times. So that was really cool to me. I think my cousin's wife has like 6 of them. So there's an AD close to Providence here who sells Shinola watches. So I went there and checked him out, and I didn't even know what a dive watch was, to be honest. But I saw this, and it's on. I have it on the Uncle Seiko Tropic now, but it came on a bracelet, and I fell in love. I was like, all right, this is my jam. This is it. So this is the Shinola Lake Superior Monster. I grew up in the Upper Peninsula, about 10 minutes away from Lake Superior. So we swam. It's a huge lake. It's like an ocean, except it's the largest freshwater lake in the world, right? So
Right.
that got me in all the nostalgic feels. I grew up swimming in that lake, and it's a big part of the area where I'm from. So I was like, all right, this is it. The Shinola Lake Superior Monster. Now I get it and I love it. But I started doing some more research and I find like, maybe they're not the most respected brand among, I didn't really know. This is a $1,500 watch. So this is my first like expensive one. My wife kind of like gave it part of it as a gift. She
Right.
knew how much, Shinola, the connection meant to me and everything to Michigan. So I went for it. And I learned later that, they're quite overpriced, but it has a forever spot in my collection. I think people who rag on the brand have not seen them in person. It's actually a really well built watch. It has a Selena 200 movement in it. The bracelet, which it's not on right now, it has a great micro adjust system. Probably one of the best of any watch I have. Dare I say, much more convenient on the fly than the Tudor Black Bay 58 even.
Right.
Just like a nice push button slider adjust for quick on the fly adjustment on these humid days when we swell up a little bit. But bezel action's great. Lume is fantastic. You fall asleep in that thing at 3 a.m. when you wake up, it's like a flashlight on your wrist. So it's a really well built watch that's probably overpriced by several $100s, but yep, it has that connection and it's a forever spot in my collection, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a Shinola diver before. Most of them I see are kind of like on the dressy, some sporty side, but this is the
Yeah,
first time. And let me just confirm, you can see what's going on the screen, right? You can see the watch, Clayton.
yeah, yep,
Okay, yeah.
gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, so I've never, and this is a good looking watch. Like I never really considered Shinola before because I've heard some things, but wow, this is actually a pretty good looking watch. I gotta say for sure.
Yeah, it's beefy. It's 43 millimeters, and I think the lug to lug is close to 50. I think I want to say like 51 or 52. Yeah, they're known for their quartz watches, and I think that's where they get a lot of flack from the watch community because I don't think they use expensive quartz movements, but yet their watches are still quartz watches are six, seven, $800. So I think that's where they get a lot of flack. But I think they're making some strides. They're making automatic watches right now. Yep, there's Craig, fellow Michigan guy. It's a well built watch. I think if they lowered those prices down a little bit, I think they could still make a profit and more people might check out their watches, but obviously they must be selling watches. So,
Right. Desire 68. Hey, Mike, how are you?
hey, Michael, great video today.
Oh, I got to catch it, man. I loved his video the other day with the frog pond with all his
Oh, yeah.
frogmans. Oh man, I just love that video. Um, yeah, Craig saying we'll have to check out the channel. That definitely sounds like something you got to check out.
Yeah, I should have put it on bracelet. I didn't today. I actually, that's one of the only watches I actually, in the summer, I really like wearing on a Tropic. I just think it looks, let me grab it here. I think it looks great on this Uncle Seiko Tropic. I love the way it looks. But it's a beautiful watch. It's a good looking watch. It's fun to wear, and bezel actions great on it. So
Yeah, day window is executed really well. Yeah,
yeah,
maybe. Yep,
yep,
thanks, man. Yep, thanks for watching, man. Thanks for coming on. Okay, so you have your Shinola, and let's go. Let's jump into the next watch here. Bear with me. And do you see it up there? Do you see it? Okay, okay, yeah,
yep.
clean. So you have
So
the Ocean Crawler here.
yeah, so this is actually a watch I've tried to I've tried to sell several times, but my mom actually convinced me to keep it. So you'll see, I don't know if you can zoom in, but you'll see it
Yeah,
says Isle Royal on the dial there.
yeah.
Okay, so that's another Lake Superior connection, and that's why
Ah,
I initially bought the watch. So Isle Royal is an island like 3 hours out in Lake Superior, just isolated. It's a great hiking spot. I've actually been there. You have to take a ferry out there. It's like a 3 hour ferry ride from where I grew up. And It's beautiful. It's known for its hiking. It's known for its diving. There's some shipwrecks around, and that's why Ocean Crawler. They're right on. They're in Rochester, New York. So they're on what is it, Ontario or Erie? There, I forget.
Yeah, I think it's Erie.
I think so. So that the ferry for Isle Royale leaves from my hometown in Michigan, where I grew up. So I got this watch, and I have a few issues with it. It's compression style diver, compressor style, but it comes on a leather strap and a canvas strap with a leather backing. So I'm like, this watch can do some serious deep water stuff, but you give me two bands that are not.
Right.
I really can't get wet. Like I don't really understand, but
Right.
so I actually like wearing it. It wears almost like if you've ever worn like a bullhead chronograph. That's kind of what
Yeah.
it wears like
Okay.
those Citizen like Brad Pitt wore in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It really wears like a I used to have one. It wears like a bullhead, very stout, but it's built like a tank. Like I can see why Ocean Crawler has a following. I mean, these watches are this thing is built. But so I was telling my mom I hadn't told her about this, and I've been trying to sell it. I was almost going to sell it to Rob. I actually had it ready to go to Rob, and she's like, "No, you have to keep that watch." So and I may actually just give it to her.
Right. Right.
But so yeah, that's I like having those watches that have a little bit of meaning, and even though like I haven't connected with the watch, the meaning behind it is really cool. So I'm just gonna wear it try and wear it once August is over, wear it for a bunch of days and see if I can really bond with it. Otherwise, sounds like something I may be giving to my mom for Christmas or something.
There you go. Hey, John, how you doing? And Hector's in the house.
Hey guys.
Hey, Craig.
Hey Greg.
What's up, man? Okay, so now let's jump onto the next watch here, and I promise, guys, I'm gonna get this down much smoother as I go on here. But we have a Squale.
This is the 1521 Red Passion, and simply just because I love this dial. I think it's probably one of the most favorite dials in my collection. You really don't see a lot of these out in the wilds of Instagram or
Hmm.
Facebook. I really had trouble even finding a video on YouTube on this particular model. That dial in person, with what it does with the light, is just absolutely beautiful. It has the ETA 2824. It's
Yeah.
regulated, so I mean this thing's bang on. I mean it's. I have dogs crying in here, so I apologize
No, no
for
worries. We
Riley's
can't even
coming to
hear.
visit me here. So I mean that dial is. You
Yeah.
notice how it's like a smoky, so the black
Yeah.
around the red is like it gives a smoky vibe. I just think the pictures don't even do it justice. I mean, it's phenomenal in person. It's just so fun to wear. This is my first Squale, and I know I don't know if it's the TGV thing or they also get kind of a bad rep sometimes. But man, I flirted with selling this one too, but I just love the way it looks so much that I think this may be a forever keeper. That dial is just special, and I have it on a fun Paisley NATO here just because it's summer and it's a lot of fun. So
Yeah, I mean, I've owned several Squales. I think they're very good watches for what you pay for.
yep,
Um, but so we've seen three watches, and I'm sort of seeing a pattern here.
dive watches.
Dive watches, yeah.
Yep. You
Hey,
know, I found out a long time ago that I when you get in, you people will tell you have to have a dress watch, you have to have a this, you have to have a that. So I did all that field watch. They don't last.
yeah,
Uh, divers divers are just what I like. I time a lot of things with my dog
sure,
running business, and I just kind of like to have, as Rob might call it, like a fidget spinner.
yeah.
So digitals and divers. I'm doing my best to branch out. I actually have the Weiss titanium ultralight coming hopefully any
Oh
week
man,
now.
I'd
It's
love to.
six
Can't wait to
weeks
see
since I
that one.
ordered it. So I'm not traditionally a huge fan of field watches, but that one with the hacking function where it just resets at the 12 o'clock no matter where you are on the where the seconds hand is, I think is really cool. So I'm just a little worried about that it won't fit me, but I know Rob is chomping at the bit to buy
Yeah,
it when I flip it. So
nice. Enrique, he's like, "What are you guys drinking tonight?" Well,
I'm drinking a Russian Imperial Stout on one of the hottest days of the summer, but it's just what I like to drink. So
and I am going crazy tonight with Pellegrino.
probably should be drinking water.
Don't drink in stream, man. Don't drink in stream. All right, so let's jump into the next watch we have here, and that is a
Big
brand
shock.
that I'm not really familiar with. Alsta.
A fan of the movie Jaws, uh, Richard Dreyfuss's character Hooper
Mhm.
wore an Ulsta Nada scaff. So this is a
Okay,
re-edition of the Jaws watch. So this is so when Jaws is what I'm a horror movie fanatic, and Jaws, of course, has always been one of my favorite movies. And when I got into watches, I didn't really know about this watch before. I love the movie, seen it a bunch, but never wasn't crazy like I am now, and looking at everybody's wrist, whether it be in person or on TV or in movies. But so I came upon an article about it right when they were, I think, coming back. Because the quartz crisis killed this brand in the late 70s, so they're only back for a few years now, I believe. And they released, it wasn't this watch. Their first watch was similar to this, but I was like, oh, this is a Jaws watch. So what John Keel over at Watch Gauge is selling these. They're making 1,975 of these watches. This is the Nautiscaf super automatic. So this is a recreation of the exact watch that Richard
gotcha.
Dreyfuss's character wore in Jaws. So um, the thing that held me back initially was the price tag. It's $1,000. It has a Seiko NH35.
Right.
So if you're familiar with Armand, the watch guy, the watch
Yeah.
chronicler,
Sure.
so he had on his podcast, he had the owner of Allstar, or the president, and sort of justified the price tag. We can use an affordable movement, which is reliable. It's a good movement,
Right.
and then we can put that money into other aspects of the watch. So, honest opinion, I've had the watch for about a month, I think. So, John Keel over at Watch Gauge reserved me one because he gets 10 at a time. They
Yeah.
release 500 a year until they get to the 1,975, and then that's all they're making of these. So, like a 4-year, production runtime. So, you're definitely paying a premium for the Jaws connection.
Sure.
The bezel's tight. The movement I have is not super accurate. I mean, I've had some really good NH35s. I had a Laurier Neptune that was spot on, but this
Right.
one's
Right.
not that. But it's fun to wear. The bracelet, I can show you a little, and maybe you can zoom out on that too. But the bracelet is super 70s, super vintage, exact recreation, and it's really fun to wear. My wife, who is pretty, her feedback on my watch is mostly nonverbal eye rolls and sighs and
Yeah.
shrugs. She was even like, okay, that's cool. So
Yeah.
it's fun to wear. You're definitely paying a premium for the Jaws connection, but I think John gets like, Watch Gauge gets like 10 at a time, and they're already spoken for. So it's a fun watch. So
Craig's having a Yingling.
yes.
I think I was in a Zoom meeting with Craig a few months back, and he was having Yingling. I think Yingling is he likes Yingling a lot. I mean, maybe I'm not remembering that correctly, but maybe I am. I'm not sure.
The oldest brewery in America, I believe.
That's right, right out of Philly, right?
Yep. Maybe if you don't
Hector
know.
loves the bracelet.
Yeah. It's a
Awesome,
super fun bracelet, and I've been swimming in that one too. So
nice.
I had to swim in the Jaws watch.
Of course. Okay, so now we get to something more
All
interesting
right, here we
here. Well, I mean, they're all interesting. I apologize. That's
No,
not what
that's
I
okay.
meant. I'm sorry, but this is this is now a little step up here, um, from some of the other, at least monetary wise. This is
Yeah.
a bigger commitment. That's what I meant.
Yep. So this was the first like luxury. So when I got the Shinola, I went I reverted back to the traditional route of Casio hunting at Walmart and Vostoks, and really just introducing myself through all the affordable pieces. Even though I had the Shinola, which was a little bit more, I got it. I still went the tradition of buying affordable watches.
Yeah.
And so a friend of mine who I'd met in the hobby was selling this, and Omega had the Seamaster had been a watch that I'd been lusting after, that I'd been looking at, but the new variation is just a little big for me. This is the previous model, the non-wave, and the dimensions are a little more friendly for a 7-inch wrist,
Is that
41
is that a
millimeter.
is that a aluminum bezel? Is that, or is that ceramic?
The
That's pretty
ceramic,
ceramic.
yep,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's ceramic, yep. It's ceramic. This was purchased beginning of 2019. So, yep, it's like the inky black
Yeah,
dial.
beautiful watch. Beautiful.
Yeah, it just wears perfect for me, and I actually like prefer this to the wave dial. I mean, the new ones are obviously like
Yeah.
fantastic. They're more advanced than this in every way with the movement and everything. But this watch just fits my wrist, and I think if I went to the new wave dial, it would be too big on me. I think this is perfect. And I actually saw these are starting to go up in price again.
Yes.
I saw what's his name? Federico's partner there at Del Rey did a video
John.
the other day. John, yep,
Yeah.
and he had mentioned that these are trending upwards, so which is good news.
Yeah, it's nice
I
and
would try to
reassuring.
sell it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's a beautiful watch. It's super fun to wear. It was my first, luxury watch,
Yeah.
and I kind of wondered, like, okay, why I'm dropping 2,700 or whatever it was on a watch, like, why am I doing this? But you get it.
You
You
get
get
it.
it once you get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, this is this I prefer, I'm with you. I prefer, I mean, look, the wave dial Seamasters are beautiful. But like we were talking before we started tonight, we have similar wrist size, and I just like the look of this matte dial, the black dial here, and the size. If I was going to go Seamaster Professional, this is the one I would get for sure.
I
Beautiful
think
watch.
I know myself, I'm less likely to flip, an expensive watch. And I've said before, I tend to go a little more boring if I'm going to spend more money, just because it's like jeans and t-shirt is always going to be cool. A black dial Seamaster, I'm pretty sure I'm always going to like it. If I got like would I like a white dial? I love it now. I think it looks great, but 3 to 5 years, am I still going to love that? I know I'm always going to love this ink black dial. So I don't know. It doesn't work for everybody, but
I think Hector here is referring back to the
Alsta.
yeah, the Alsta about the
Yep.
bracelet.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's definitely the clasp, I will say, is probably the weak point, but it really is a well built bracelet, and yeah, it's solid. Feels great. I put a nice scratch in it. But yeah, no, it's great. It definitely the highlight of the watch. My wife couldn't care about the watch, but she saw the bracelet. She's like, okay, that's cool.
yeah,
So
it's
when you get
definitely
comments
different.
from non-watch people,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't see many people wearing bracelets like this. So no, I think it's if you're a fan of the movie and of the watch, I mean, you can't go wrong. And they are limited, and I think if you ever did want to get out of it, you could pretty much they hold their value, I would think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Hey, Amin, how you doing?
Hey, man.
All right, so then now you're trending towards luxury, right?
Yeah,
And making some very big time decisions here. And so the next one we'll jump into is a classic, right?
not a dive watch.
And it's not a dive watch, right? That's a beautiful watch, man. Tell me
Yeah.
about it.
So I think it was February of this year. My wife went into the same place I bought the Shinola from, their Rolex AD, and they had one of these, and we'd been looking at this watch in particular. It was I wanted to experience a Rolex, but I'm not like I didn't want to do it as a status thing, just as an appreciation thing. And so we had looked at this watch, and she was on board, and she took a photo. I was at work, and she went there, I think, to get like a necklace cleaned, jewelry cleaned or something. And she's like, look what they have. And she inquired about it. They basically said, "No way, no, you will not get that." Even though we'd spent money with them,
Right.
but not enough apparently. So, and then at the same time, we all know if we watch Rob's channel, Doug, we love Doug. He had this and he sent it in, and it was right around it was like the same day or
Wow.
two. So I felt like it was fate. I had the
Yeah.
money set aside, and I waffled back and forth about it. And Rob made like a few videos in a row there about it. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm doing it. My wife's
Yeah.
like, okay. And I got it. And again, for a 7-inch wrist, it wears like a dream. And it's so fun. I wear it, after the honeymoon set off where I didn't want to put like a ding in it. Once I did and like got comfortable, now I just wear it
Yeah.
to, I don't wear it out like fancy. Not that we're doing anything fancy anyway. I wear it to hike. I just wear it around the house. It's just, it wears like a dream. I put it on rubber strap, didn't love it so much, kind of ignored it, put it back on the bracelet, and the honeymoon rekindled again. So yeah, it has a forever spot in the collection. I'm just gonna beat it up and enjoy it and wear the hell out of it.
Man, I love that you hike with this thing.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
I've
that's
hiked several
awesome.
times. Yep. It's as I said in the with Bruce Williams in the podcast, it's called the freaking Explorer. Like, get out there and explore with it. So I have I when I wear it again on this August rotation deal, I'm going to again. And it's perfect because it has such a low profile, slim profile. If you are wearing like a long sleeve shirt, it fits underneath. I love it for that. I mean, I wear pajamas for work. I don't need when am I going to wear a Rolex? So that's when I have to wear it. So I do.
Awesome. Yeah, a classic watch. Almost like, kind of like a cornerstone watch in your collection, I feel, just because of what it means, what it brings to the table, the
Yeah.
versatility, the fact that it's a non-diver. It's such a great watch. I have, been aspiring to, I went to my collection for a while. I go through phases where I'm not, I kind of want to try, keep it different and maybe not go for Rolex or the Explorer. But then there's times where I see that now, I see the picture of it on your wrist, and I'm like, oh man, I want one so bad now. Yeah.
Yeah, I will sit. It's a simple three-hand watch, but you can get
Yeah.
lost in it. You still get lost in it for whatever
Right.
reason. I've literally sat and just stared at it, and my wife will walk by and just shake her head, and those nonverbals walk away. But
Speaking of
and
three-hand watches,
well, I told the story of this in my podcast. I probably overshared as I tend to do, but yeah, it was the truth. I, you actually were in the back of my mind because this was like the week. I think it was like maybe like the week after you got the blue, and you'd obviously had this one and talked about it as well. And yeah, I saw it and I made a really irresponsible, horrible decision, which actually turned out to be pretty great. As Jeff McMahon might say, we reduced that wrist rotation anxiety, and
yes.
yeah, you know what? You were right. It wears, as you can see there. I mean, it just wears like a dream on me. Again, it's light. I mean, this and the Explorer, 2-watch collection. Throw a G-Shock in there, you have your 3 watches.
I think you're absolutely right. Like, let's speak, like, speaking of Jeff, right? The releasing the anxiety of watch collecting and how it makes us anxious, and what makes me anxious sometimes. I would, if I could just keep my G-Shock, my $40 G-Shock, the DW 5600, have an Explorer and this watch, and I am set. I think I would be set. Of course, I'm
Oh, we all know you
kidding
would.
myself, but but yeah, I mean, like, that would be like a great little 3-watch collection, man.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, like I think we said maybe I forget if it was before or after we were rolling here, but yeah, the bezel is like butter. Like it's
Yeah.
just so smooth, and
60
it really,
click, very
yep,
nice.
yep. It's great. It just the black and gilt just gets me every time. That pop of red at the
Yep.
loop and pip is just perfect. Dare I say a perfect watch. Now, if I had to pick this or the Explorer, like I don't know, it'd be tough. As you can see from my collection, I'm partial to dive watches, so
Yeah.
it might win out, but those two are neck and neck.
Yeah, I mean, like I wouldn't even like, go there mentally, you know what I mean? Because they're so different that like it makes more sense to if you had to pare down, it makes more sense to keep the two of them together. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Instead of getting like if you had a decision to get rid of one or the other and it had to be those two, like I wouldn't even know what to do. Even
yeah,
though I love the Tudor Black Bay 58, it wouldn't be an easy decision. I would get rid of everything else and keep those two, you
yeah.
know?
Yep, I agree. I probably would do the same, but I'm not going to do that because you know, you know.
I get it, man. I get it. Let's see. Let's look at some Royale Insanity. This watch that promise.
Oh yes. So yeah, I told my wife that I bought that,
That's
and
right.
I said, "All
I
right, I
remember.
promise I'm going to make it up." I told the story in the podcast, and yeah, so that was, and in 5 days I paid for it. But
That's amazing.
the
That's
whole
amazing.
asking for forgiveness, not permission. That was the whole. That's what the underlying theme of that whole thing. But yeah, I mean, if you have a big collection, it is sort of like a warped. We it's a way we can lie to ourselves. It's money in the bank as watch collectors. So, I wanted a Black Bay 58 and I paid for it out of watches I had in my collection exclusively. So,
Well, I did the same thing with the Blue Bay, right? I mean, I wanted a Blue Bay. I wasn't getting as much wear with my El Primero,
mhm.
and I sold it. That was a really hard decision, but it was the right decision because the guy who has it now loves it. I've emailed him. He's emailed me a couple times, and he wears it, and that's what that watch needed. But look, I mean, it paid for my Blue Bay, so I didn't. No money came out of pocket, and
Yep.
I'm wearing this thing. I'm wearing it all the time. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I probably have worn it more in the last couple of weeks than I did the Primero. Since I had the Primero for about a year and change, and I probably wore it 10 times because of it just felt like more of like a dressy
Mhm.
watch, which was fine, but I just didn't have any occasion to
Yeah.
dress. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that I had when Rob did the video, I had thought about like, oh, maybe I should because I've just read so much about that watch and it's
Yeah.
so historically important and just an amazing movement. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, I don't know when I would wear it. I might be afraid to wear it.
Well, I mean, so it did feel a little delicate, I would have to say, but that's because of the size. So it was 30. The El Primero, the sizing of it is a little bizarre. So you have the 38, and it has a 47 millimeter lug to lug. Okay, great.
Yeah,
Now, if I think I would have felt more comfortable if I had jumped up to the 42 millimeter, but now you're getting your lug to lug around 51 millimeters, 52 millimeters, and that's a spot where, man, that is almost unwearable for me because it's just a little too big,
yeah.
and I think that 42 millimeter Primero, because of the size, will give it like more of a tougher feel. It's hard to describe, but the 38 felt a little dainty. So if that 42 had shorter lugs, maybe 50 or 48 to 50, I would have gotten the 42 millimeter for
Yeah.
sure. You know.
That's what I'm worried about with the Weiss. The Weiss is like 42, which I can do, but the lug's like 49.6. So I had the Murph, which was like 52 lug to lug, which was just way too big.
Yeah.
But
Right.
49.6, I can, hopefully pull off. But
Yeah, but look, it also depends on like if the lugs turn down. Now, if you ever have the chance to take a look at the El Primero, especially the one I had, the lugs didn't turn down. They were like
yeah,
they kind of like went like this. So like the top of the watch is here, and then the lugs were like this, and then it went like that. It was
Weiss is
just
the same way, actually. Yeah,
really, yeah.
straight out. Yeah.
So I mean, it was just a weird sizing. Now the beauty of the El Primero, there's so many versions and models of the El Primero that I know that down the road I probably will add it again. That I'll just add a different one, a different kind of like maybe an older one, that appeals to me a little bit more and maybe fits right. There's 1,000 El Primeros out there,
Oh yeah.
different types of El Primeros. So it and like you mentioned, it is there's historical, there's heritage with it, and it is a great watch. Um, so let's jump into a grouping here,
Full Metal
because
G-Shock, Craig. That would be the one I would pick.
yeah, yeah, I just got back my my Tron that I was putting it out there to sell, and I got it back from
This one.
Chris over at the Watch Lounge. Yeah, oh that one. And because he I lent it to him to review, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna keep it.
Are
I think I'm
you?
gonna
You're not
keep it.
going to tell me
I think I
you
am.
rescinded your sale offer?
I'm gonna yeah, I'm gonna rescind it. And a huge part of that was um Mike's video of the frog of his frog collection in the frog pond. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That also iced the cake for me to keep it, and I'll explain that in a later time. But so here we go. So it almost feels like a rite of passage with like collectors that we have to go through a Seiko phase. It feels like, right?
Yeah.
And you you got some really good Seiko, awesome Seikos here. Tell me about them.
Yeah. So real quick, so I was sort of like, I wouldn't say I was a Seiko hater, but I definitely got into micro brands, which obviously the specs are there. You're always going to get sapphire glass. You're always going to get stuff you don't get necessarily on on Seiko, and I just always didn't really get the Seiko thing. But once I went in, I went in. So the first one is the so this is my collection direction now, I think, and I'm working up towards maybe getting a Grand Seiko. So that's
Oh,
one of the reasons I purchased the first watch here on the left, which is the Presage SPB 111. It's a green enamel dial. So this and I think if Josh is in here, he was asking me because I showed it and I took pictures of it in several different light sources, and it looks like a different watch in every picture. It's really cool. The enamel, it's hand finished, so it's a green enamel dial. It's meant to represent cedar trees in Japan. So you have the green of the leaves, and then the alligator strap is supposedly the bark. But they're hand done, so there's going to be flaws on them. But yeah, I mean, just it's so beautiful. It looks wet. Like if you look at it in a certain light, it just looks like wet paint. It's so cool.
yeah, that's a definitely great dial.
It has the
Great look.
6R35
Yeah.
as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So, yep, 70-hour power reserve. I believe this watch came out right when the Green Sumo did, and I think maybe those were a couple of the
Ah,
first two watches to have that movement. It's not super accurate, to be honest. I think it's like plus 20.
oh,
Uh,
interesting.
but the power reserve is 70 hours, and I think maybe that has something to do with it. But
And then you got the girdle, and that's definitely some presence there, man.
oh yeah. So Jody, just when we were watched, did a video. I think it was like his first video of this year. He bought a Mr. X like bought a
Yeah.
Seiko, but it was of course he got this one. So Jody bought him made him the girdle. Just to, he's Mr. X, so you have to do that, right? So I saw that video, and then one of our fellow patrons, Jerry, bought this and then sold it right away, and I was like, I have to do it. So it's just so fun. It's summer fun. I've worn it like on a bunch of summery occasions. I wore it on Father's Day because I was like, I'm not a dad, but this is the like dad
Yeah, dad
watch,
watch. Yeah.
ultimate dad watch. So it's just fun. Just brings a
Yeah.
smile to my face. Like, this week was kind of a weird week, and I was like, it's Friday night. I'm doing this with you. I have to wear the girdle. So yeah,
Nice.
you can't not see that and smile. And it's a turtle, and it wears great, and so
And then you have a blue. Is that the blue coral monster?
yep.
Yeah, I owned this watch, and I had this watch last year, and I sold it on Sunday Fun Day, and
Oh,
uh,
okay.
and I regret it. I
Yeah.
regret it.
So this watch has a cool story. So our buddy Doug, who I bought the Explorer from, this was his. So another Patreon, John, he lives out here in Massachusetts. We've met in person several times. We bought this together. So this is a co-ownership
Mhm.
watch. So I think the trend has been like every 8 weeks we switch back. So every 6 to 8 weeks. So it's my turn right now. And yeah, it's kind of fun. Like I had just bought some watches, but I think Rob got this, unboxed it on a Monday Night Live, and I was just like, oh man, I want a monster. I'd never had one, and John private messaged me. He's like, let's go in on it together. Let's buy it together. I was like, really? Like co-parenting a watch, really? But it's been a lot of fun. It's a fun story to say that we have so yeah, it's fun.
Now, is this next one here? Is that a mod?
Nope, that's actually that's the Marine Master 200. I believe it's the SPB 107 Toppers limited
Oh,
Seiko limited edition. They only made 500 of those.
okay.
So
Okay.
that's actually a recent acquisition.
Wow.
It's called the Toppers Ninja, completely blacked out except for that little pop of orange on the second's hand.
That is an awesome looking watch, man. I mean, like that's why I thought it was like mod because I really haven't seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
And wow, that is gorgeous.
Yeah, it wear though. I don't know if you've ever tried one of those on, but they wear great.
Yeah.
Even for our small, little, slightly smaller wrist. I mean, it's 44 millimeter, but Seiko does their magic with sizing, and it wears great. And I haven't really had a chance to wear it because I'm in the midst of this whole rotation deal here for the August challenge. But yeah, it's a great watch, and I'm actually going to play around with some straps when I can buy straps again. I saw a guy on Facebook who had it like on a purple tropic, which I thought was
Ah,
really cool. So, and this we talk about the 3 watch collection. This one I would probably
yeah.
keep over the Omega for sure. And
Wow.
yeah, this watch, the SLA 023 it's got to be in my top 3. It's just
That's a
so
beautiful
fun to
watch too,
wear.
man.
It's a big boy. It's chunky. It
Wow.
probably stretches the limits of my wrist size, but I don't care. It's just fun to wear, and I don't care
That
if
looks
it looks
awesome.
ridiculous on my wrist. Who cares? I have to wear it, so I enjoy wearing it.
Okay, let's hit up some reviews and then we'll talk about what's next for you.
Awesome.
Hit up some comments here. Um, green enamel. Yeah,
Yeah.
going back to that first Seiko that we saw.
So that
Yeah,
watch was a test to see if, because I'm not a person who likes a dressier style watch. I don't have occasion to wear them, and I just really don't always like the aesthetics personally. That's just my taste.
yeah,
Obviously, you can see what I gravitate towards. So, but Grand Seiko is just something. I've done the Swiss luxury thing, and now I'm really interested in Japanese luxury. So uh, I bought that SPB 111, that Presage, as sort of an experiment to see how I would bond with a watch. So, and it's beautiful. It's super fun to wear, and I'm gonna probably buy a leather NATO strap for it.
that's interesting that you bring that up about trying out Swiss luxury and then now trying Japanese luxury because I was almost in the same boat as you. I had tried out Swiss luxury. I had tried out Japanese. I mean, I didn't go Grand Seiko, but I mean, heavily into Seiko for a little while. And I started discovering German watches about a year and a half
Mm-hmm.
ago, and that's what I've been trending sort of, other than like sometimes buying a Tudor here or there, but I've been trending towards German watches and finding them, a lot of bang for your buck with the German watches. I mean, I'll put them up toe to toe against any Swiss watch.
Yeah.
But you're getting to that point now with Japanese watches. So is Grand Seiko then the next move? Did that Presage convince you that you can make that leap?
I don't know yet, actually, to be truthful. I'm not totally sure yet. I need to spend some time. Again, I think that's probably the next experiment with wearing what I have, is spending like a week or two with one watch at a time,
Yeah,
just to see like how I ultimately feel with them. Then
yeah,
that's kind of the beauty with when you have a pretty vast collection. I have, which I didn't show you, but I have like an Annie Digi thing going on in my Square collection as
you have
well.
Square, sure, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that I think so. I don't know if I want to go for the snowflake or something a little different.
Hmm.
They've just released a couple US edition, like seasons editions, which are really nice.
Yes, yeah.
Those are great. So yeah, I think I'm trending that way.
So, okay, but anything else in the horizon? Anything, you're doing this whole August thing, right? Abstinence, right? From
Yeah,
buying watches in August. You're part of that. Like I
yeah,
said earlier, I tapped out today. Uh, um, but anything else?
yeah. So I think uh, I'm definitely down to like a Seiko limited edition rabbit hole. So I think the SLA 033, which is last year's
Hmm.
Captain Willard, if I can find a good price on one, I'm going to save up, and that's probably the next thing. I've come to terms with the fact that you know what, I like dive watches, and it may
Yeah.
not be everyone's cup of tea, but that's what I like. I have the Weiss coming, so that's Josh got his, and I think he ordered 2 weeks before I did. When you order, they tell you it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks
Yeah.
lead time because they pretty much make your watch on order for you. So I'm going to see how I bond with that one. That might I bought that watch to be one of the cornerstone watches of my collection, and I'm hoping it can be that. That's my hope for it.
So speaking of cornerstone, like what if you have like a core that you feel like okay, is there any watch in your collection that is untouchable? Do you feel?
Explorer is untouchable.
Yeah, the Explorer.
Yep. Yep. Explorer is untouchable. The Black Bay is definitely getting there. And of course, like the Shinola is untouchable because of if you take sentimentality out
Yeah,
and the Explorer and the Black Bay and the Marine Master as of right now, things change daily. Any of
sure.
us in this hobby know one thing, what we say today, we may say the complete opposite tomorrow. But
So what have you learned about yourself as a collector? Like, when I start, for example, when I started getting into watches and collecting, I was definitely heavily influenced by YouTube content creators. I went through that Seiko phase. I got the SARB, I got the SKX. Um, and I started accumulating a lot of watches. I also had some luxury watches, quote unquote luxury watches. But what I'm getting to a point now where, well, I have an interest in German watches, but I can't seem to keep 8 watches. Meaning anything above that, um, I can't seem to keep. I seem more comfortable in the 5 to the 6 to 8 watch range.
you get
And
anxiety when you get above that.
well, I do, and here's the thing. I have so like I bought this watch box about a year ago that has 12 slots in it, thinking that I was going to fill that. Oh, I have a watch every month, that kind of thing. And I can't seem to get past like 7 or 8, and I get anxious about the empty space.
Yeah.
Like so like so I'm learning something about myself that too much may be too much, and that maybe I need to get a smaller watch box. Um, what have you learned about yourself?
I've learned that I did mention this on the podcast, that I actually like having a pretty big work watch rotation just because, it sort of helps me get excited about the workday when you need that extra push in the morning sometimes. Um, but I do get anxious over a certain when you realize that you do have such a really cool collection and you just don't have a lot of time to enjoy these watches. The buying the Black Bay 58 was probably, even though it was so stupid, spur of the moment thing, it was probably one of the better things I've done because I got rid of. Yeah, ultimately, it ended up being like 9 watches
Right.
in the span of a couple of days, and that was really freeing. And knowing you're getting like one really cool one. Now there were a couple watches that were tough to get rid of. The titanium G-Shock Square, which is ultimately cool. The Tron, which is really cool.
Hmm.
Uh, Ultimately, those were the two most, ironically, were the two most expensive watches I ended up selling. But yeah, that was incredibly freeing to just get rid of those watches. So I think I'm trending. I'm learning about myself. I want a lot of quartz for work, but the automatics are going to continue to kind of pare down a little bit. And I just it might be boring to most, but I like what I like.
Yeah.
I do like dive watches. I like watches that have another complication, like even a chronograph, which I don't
Hmm.
really have a lot of right now, but a chronograph where I can time things, where I can do things. I've learned that I'm not really Fleegers don't last. Field watches may not necessarily last. I think like being confident in your own skin and not buying what Instagram or YouTube tells you should have, like, you need a dress watch, you need a blah blah blah. Like, if you like that, that's awesome. But if you want 15 dive watches, that's cool too. You don't get variety for variety's sake, I think, is the thing that I'm learning, because 99.9% of the time it's just you and your watches, and no one knows or no one cares what you're doing. So
Clayton, those are wise words, man, and I think that is probably the best way to end it tonight. We're pushing up in an hour, and man, I want to thank you.
oh, thank
You
you.
you definitely gave me a lot to think about, especially what you just said in the last like few minutes there, man. It's kind of hitting home a little bit for myself, and I look forward to joining you tomorrow night on your podcast.
Yeah,
Um,
we're
we're gonna
doing a home and home kind of thing this
Yeah,
weekend.
home and home.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to plug a little something? Do you want to give a little preview of what we might be talking about?
Yeah, so we're obviously watch fanatics, but we're also both hard rock, heavy metal fanatics. So we're gonna. So I think what we're going to do, and we have to discuss the particulars, but we're gonna pick a band and kind of talk about what watch brand they might most represent. So I think
Yeah,
it may work, it may not, but it's gonna
I
be a
have a
lot.
couple ideas, man.
Yeah, me too. It's gonna be awesome.
Awesome, awesome, Clayton, and please plug your podcast to everybody who's watching, please.
Yep, it's called the Watchdog Podcast. It's available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and a bunch of others as well. And for all those guys in the Discord, I can put the chat, and I know Bobby connected it as well. So, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's just mostly me talking to my friends about watches, and also asking them about their dogs, since I am a professional dog runner, and it's a big part of my life. So it's really been great to do. It's been a lot of fun to get to know people better and chat with them about watches and life and all that kind of stuff. So, and I've gotten to talk to Bruce Williams,
Yeah,
which was really cool. Jeff McMahon
Jeff
and
McMahon.
Rob, Random Rob, of course, has been so instrumental in its success and getting it off the ground and connecting me with these people. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'm hopefully getting a little bit better every week. As we said, with the technology aspect of that and this here, we're learning on the fly as we
Yeah,
go. So
awesome, man,
yeah.
Clayton. Thanks again,
All right,
and thanks guys for stopping in, and I'll see you guys soon. Take
thanks,
care. Good night.
Bobby, for having me.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay,
Talk to you
bye.
soon.